It's sort of funny because back in my day when I was doing like all pro Xbox stuff, the interesting part was there wasn't hardly anybody that really kind of take hold of that. It was like people considered Xbox fans to be refugees or whatever, and it was like I was trying to get people to understand that Xbox is really a good platform, and the games were the most important thing. And I think somewhere along the line, a lot of people kind of started to get swayed by things that maybe Phil Spencer, Xbox, was saying over the years, but they had little results. And somebody like me who stuck with them and was with them for a long time, it was hard to understand that because I had already waited years and years. Like, honestly, I was sitting there waiting and waiting for Phil Spencer and company to actually deliver on something that they promised for a change. And they really failed to do so, and I couldn't understand it. And people get really annoyed by myself because I like to ask for the games and where's the exclusives and things like that. The funny thing is that people get it in their minds that I left Xbox or started hating on Xbox in 2016 based on tweets about Quantum Break, which couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, I understand the defense mechanism to say this is why he turned against Xbox. Look at him get owned by Phil Spencer. I completely understand that kind of mentality, but I think the realization that I was still pro Xbox for many years, and it wasn't until 2019 when they had a really lackluster E3 that I sort of said, okay, enough's enough. Where's the games that you've been promising? That was the point, the changing point for me, and I was noticing the big quality difference in the exclusive content between Microsoft and Sony. So that was kind of the tipping point for me, not in 2016 as many believe, but people would rather believe that that was the reason over the real reason because it sounds better, right? Oh, well, he got owned by Phil, so that's why he did it, instead of, well, he has a point. There's no games. There haven't been a AAA release in almost 2 years, and Microsoft literally hasn't released a first-party game this entire year, and we're in the 7th month almost. So, yeah, I think that the truth kind of gets lost in the shuffle because fanboys don't really care about the truth, unfortunately. No matter how eloquently I explain myself, it always takes back to that idiocracy scene in the courtroom where the retort is from the Xbox fanboys, the same retort that the courthouse gives the main character in that scene after he eloquently explains what happened. Now, when it comes to Xbox Game Pass, I have to say, listen, I think that Game Pass, especially at first, was pretty lame. Nobody cared about it, and I think the facts speak for itself. Then Microsoft added the first-party day-and-date stuff, which sounded like a huge deal, and it is, right? If they were actually releasing games that were of big quality and things like that. Unfortunately, you're paying $180 a year. I know nobody really is, but, if you were paying that, which is what they ultimately want people to pay or more, you need those big AAA first-party releases, and Microsoft just hasn't really put those in Game Pass in almost 2 years. So people spending almost $400 without getting any Microsoft AAA games in those 2 years. So, and not to mention, they haven't got any Microsoft first-party games this entire year so far. So, I can understand that aspect. I think that Game Pass is a good service for certain types of gamers, and I think that it can be a good thing. Is it a good thing for me? Well, that really kind of remains to be seen. I've had it since its inception, and I've downloaded maybe 5 games on it. So maybe to me it's not as good to some as it is to some of you people, and I think that's perfectly fine. But the funny thing is, over the weekend, there was just this huge inundation on social media, and if you are not on Twitter, consider yourself lucky. This was really something that that I thought was interesting because, as you guys know, I am a big social media guy and I love Twitter and things like that. It's just a lot of fun for me to really kind of go out there and talk about video games and have an opinion on it. Now, social media was Game Pass was trending over the weekend because people were talking about how Game Pass was such a great value. It was sort of a snarky response to PlayStation fans, right? So all these Xbox fans and influencers were running with even IGN people, and then we're running with the whole, well, it'd be crazy not to to take advantage of this, hundreds of games for $1, day and date releases, and you can get the first 3 months now for $1 or whatever, right? Like literally, this was spammed on timelines over and over again, right? And people, the reason why people even were bringing it up, and a lot of PlayStation fans were bringing it up, was that they feel like a lot of these influencers are being paid to talk about that. Now, here's the thing. Just like with quote-unquote media bias, they aren't paid directly. I mean, some of them might get free Game Pass for sure. But it's like, let's give you an example. Destin Legary, right? This guy works for IGN, but his own channel... And I got to be honest, when he was at IGN, he was more kind of middle of the road as far as I could tell. He wasn't really like overtly pro Xbox or pro PlayStation. He started his own channel, and his channel started to really pick up and do well as a pro Xbox channel. And now he does these like pro Xbox videos, and you know, people kind of gravitated towards that, and so now he's like this pro Xbox guy. Like all of his stuff is pro Xbox, so he's one of the ones that started doing that, tweeting it out like that. He also is the guy that was like, after E3 was like, well, I guess there goes that no games narrative or whatever. And it's like, people don't understand it. The no games narrative doesn't just stop because they announce games. If that were the case, then it would have stopped years ago. You know, it takes actually releasing games on a consistent basis to stop that. You know what I mean? It still looks like it's going to be another couple of years of pretty sparse releases from Microsoft. With that being said, you know, shoving Game Pass down people's throats isn't really going to do what a lot of these people think it's going to do. Like for me, I just easily enough went into my settings and muted Game Pass Ultimate, all that kind of stuff. Xbox Game Pass, I just muted it all because, you know, I get the joke. Right, I get the joke for sure. I think that it's funny, but also I thought, you know, hey, maybe it kind of ran its ground just a little bit. You know, like I think that Game Pass is a fine service for people that are looking for something like that, a deal on gaming, right? But this whole thing now has gotten out of hand where, you know, and maybe there is some shaming going both ways, but to me it's gotten out of hand where people who just pimp Game Pass nonstop are also the ones that complain about $70 price points on video games. Like, you have to understand, given inflation, we're paying less for games right now, even at $70, than when we were years ago, right? Like, you guys have to understand that these developers deserve to get paid. Like, I've been in arguments with people like this, right? A good example of this is Spider-Man 2018 was completely remastered, and it wasn't just remastered cheaply like an up-res or frame rate boost. You know, they added so much to it: ray tracing, new character models, polygons, everything, right? They added DualSense support. They had to build in the solid-state drive support to take advantage of it. So it wasn't as cut and dry as people made it out to be. And basically, they only charged $20 for this, right? And people like lose their mind over this. I don't understand that. Like, these developers deserve to be paid. It doesn't matter what they're doing. If they're doing work on a game, it should be, you know, deserve to be paid. This isn't something that's easy enough to do like Microsoft when they do their frame rate boost or whatever. Those aren't actual developers going back and doing that. You know, they kind of hack the games and do that way. So it's, but you know, like a frame rate boost or whatever. But it's not like a developer going back into it and adding a bunch of stuff, you know. So, I think to me is the main difference. And so I think Game Pass is fine, and I think that the way that people look at these things is fine. But maybe we can lay off the shaming, right? Like, if you prefer Game Pass, hey, that's fine. It isn't for me. Don't shove it down my throat. But hey, cool for you. Spend your money, however, you know. However you want, you know. And for me, personally, I think that it's definitely a situation where, you know, people just have to kind of get out of their feelings on this stuff. Like, paying for games is not bad. You know, renting your games through the service isn't bad. Just depends on how you want to do it or what type of way you want to do it. You know what I'm saying? For me personally, if there's something that I really, really want, I'm not going to be afraid to pay for it day one. I'm not going to wait around for it to come into a service, and at the same time, they really have to start adding a lot more to the service if they want me to stick around with it, right? Like right now, for example, I had 3 years of gold, and actually I got a year of gold as a birthday present from one of my family members, which oddly enough, that too converted right over to Game Pass. So for me, it was a situation where I got that for free or whatever. So I really literally only paid $1 to get, and now I'm covered almost, through 2023. And to me, if I were to pay, if you were to say, would you pay if you didn't have that? No, I would not pay $15 a month for what Game Pass is offering right now. So that's just how I feel about it, because the games don't mostly appeal to me, because a lot of them are smaller AA games or low quality stuff like that Alliance game or whatever that I have no interest in to begin with. So with that being said, maybe we can just kind of relax a little bit on each other and just kind of let each other enjoy what they want, man. I've noticed a lot of people, I get called toxic a lot, but I've been seeing a lot of toxicity on the timeline. So let me know what you guys think. Sound off, rate, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic day. This has been Crapgamer. Rack 'em up. Crapgamer out.